Hebrew for All, Shlomo Eitan, lesson number 28. So we'll get right underway, and let me tell you that this is a new subject matter. We have just completed the subject called the guttural letters, and I hope you remember what they were. You can look at classes 25, 26, and 27 to remind yourself about how those work. And what we're doing today in this new piece of material is we're looking at those lakum type verbs that I'm sure you remember, and we're going to do their past tense. So I'm sure you have the master plan clear to yourself. You have lishmor liknot, you have lakum off there down a little bit to the right. So here's its infinitive, lakum. And what we want to do, as I said, is its past tense. So what I've just written down for you are the four forms of the present tense, which I'm sure you remember: kam, kama, kamim, kamot, and the past tense. And I'll read it down for you once. Kamti, kamta, kamt, kam, kama, kamnu, kamten, kamten, kamu, kamu. And once again I remind you, and it would be a good idea for you to remind yourselves of the past tense of lishmor. You can pause this video and say that out loud for yourself. You can go to liknot, the sub-pattern of lishmor in the master plan, and do the past tense of that, kanita, kanita, etc. And that will warm you up once again to how the past tense works. And here you have the lakum pattern, of which we've only done the present tense, and here's your past tense. So kamti, kamta, kam, kama, kamnu, kamtem, kamten, kamu, kamu. Second time I've read it for you. So I wanted to remind you that here you see a stub plus an ending. I'm stressing that because what are the three root letters of this verb? Who remembers? You want to make sure you know this, folks. The three root letters are kuf, vav, and mem. And that's why I stress the past tense is not simply the root plus an ending. It's a stub plus the ending. And in this particular place, the stub here is the kuf and the mem, etc. So this is the past tense, and I'm hoping also that if you're paying careful attention, and I'm sure you all are, you're going to see something special over here. You're going to see that these two present tense forms match perfectly these two past tense forms. And that means there's an ambiguity in the language, something that's a teeny bit unclear that the author has planned into the language. Now, how can we help ourselves a little bit on this point? Well, in the Torah, in the Bible, there's a cantillation system, which is basically notes on how one should sing when one learns the Torah. And according to that cantillation system, we understand that in the past tense, the accent falls at the beginning of the word, hence kama, and in the present tense, the accent falls at the end of the word, hence kama. And I made up those little arrow signs to indicate where the accent is falling. But you can see that in the masculine singular, kam in the present tense, and masculine singular in the past tense for who, there is no distinction to be made between them. So, for example, if we were dealing with the word who, not who, he, ba'a, that would be present. She is coming, and he, ba'a, that would mean she came. So, and vis-a-vis the masculine singulars, we can only know that from context alone. Now, in modern Israeli speech, I don't know how particular people are about this. We should be particular, but I don't know if we necessarily are. So, you might hear he kama etmol, she she is getting up yesterday, which is obviously a mismatch of the tenses, but if people aren't particular about their spoken language, then in every spoken language there's certain glitches that we just have to learn to deal with. So in the text, you would look for the context. And for those people who speak better, where they put the accent, on which syllable they put the accent, would help you to know present or past vis-a-vis the feminine singular form for she. But for the masculine, there will be no way to know except the context. So as I use the verb ba'a over here as a paradigm or an example to show you that this past tense applies obviously for that group as well, certainly I want you to know that it applies equally well to those three verbs that we learned that had a yud as their middle root letter: lashir, lasim, and lariv. So this represents, in summation, the past tense of the verb lakum, and I'm sure now you can practice it by going back over that prior list of words that we learned originally. It was a significant number of words that are very popular in the language, and I'm sure you'll enjoy putting them to use in the text you learn or the Hebrew that you're starting to speak. That's all for now, folks. It was a pleasure learning with you. Lesson number 28, Hebrew for All. Tell your friends about it. We can have them join in the fun along with us. All the best. Shalom, shalom.